Okay, so I'm getting into practicing with the circle of fifths. You mentioned wanting to increase your hand speed. So what we're going to want to do is, well, first of all, let me explain what the cycle of fifths is, or the circle of fifths. If you don't know, basically, when you do major scales, if you start from C, C is the first scale pattern that has no sharps or flats in it. That's the C scale. All the notes are completely natural. If you go up 4 notes, actually you go 5 notes, that's why it's called the cycle of fifths, you're going to find G. Now the key of G has 1 sharp. That sharp. So if you start on G and you go up 5 notes, you're going to find D. D has 2 sharps. So, you start on D and you go up 5 notes. You're going to find A, which has 3 sharps, etc., etc. So that's how you do your circle of fifths. And basically what that does is it follows the natural way that you add in 1 sharp to each scale pattern that you go. Now how that works into the exercise that I told you to do is, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to use triads, not the whole scale. But my recommendation for you is going to be to use the whole scale. And what you're going to do is you're going to just follow the circle of fifths and do the major triads. Sorry, I lost my place. Etc. Just to follow that around the circle. You don't have to do it as fast as I just did. And I know that when I say you don't have to do it fast, the first thing you're going to come back to is the question that you asked me, which was how do I increase hand speed? What that's going to do for you, knowing your circle of fifths, in whether you do it with root third fifth or whether you do the whole scales, what that's going to do is going to make you more familiar with the neck of your instrument and where all the notes lie. Now, the other thing, completely unrelated to that I always recommend everybody do is, I believe in a concept called the economy of motion. What that means is you're always going to play things at the most convenient note. It's kind of lazy, but essentially, if you have to do that root third fifth that I just did in C, you can play it like this. Let me move the camera so you can see my hand a little better. You can play it like so. Or you could do it like this. But that second way, you're doing a lot more hand movement that's unnecessary. So that's where the economy of motion comes in. So you're going to want to play these. You're going to want to play them where it's most convenient. Now, when we were chatting, one of the things that I told you to do, this doesn't relate to the circle of fifths exercise, but just as a general practice, one of the things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a nice metronome setting. I don't have to have one handy, but you're going to want to find a nice comfortable metronome setting, and then instead of speeding it up so that you can get faster, what you're going to want to do is find a comfortable setting and then slow the metronome down. And here's why you want to do that. When you start speeding things up, for example, if I do thing I start doing is I start cheating the note values. They kind of become eighth notes. And what I do is I cheat a little bit in order to make myself stay with the metronome. And that's good. Staying with. So, that's why I say do it the reverse way. Find a nice comfortable metronome setting and then slow down. Try to play all those notes for their full value. Make them all nice and even. And when you get comfortable with doing that, the same thing's going to happen when you speed the metronome back up. You're always going to play notes for the proper value. Okay, now another thing that will play into what you want to do is, as far as improving hand speed, the first question I would ask is, do you want to improve right hand speed or left hand speed? If you're wanting to improve the fretting speed, the thing that you want to do is you want to try to be really consistent with your hand position. On the neck of the bass, your fingers are going to want to kind of be in this position as best as possible. You want the thumb relatively low. I know sometimes you see guys play like this. That's bad. Don't do that if you can avoid it. Now, if you've been playing that way for years, it may be a hard habit to break. But the trick is, the lower your thumb is on the neck, lower your thumb is comfortably, the better a center you have behind it. Ideally, your hand wants to be, you want your thumb right where it's perpendicular with the middle finger, and you want to try to keep it that way. And if you try to keep that position as much as possible wherever you go on the neck, that increases your amount of speed and your amount of leverage. And you want to try to do things, again, back to that economy of motion, with as little movement as you can get away with. So, by doing that, keeping a consistent hand position. Now, little secret about me, I actually only have 9 3/4 fingers. See that? That finger's a little bit, it got injured in an accident when I was really little. I've never known to play any other way than that, but as a result of that, I tend to use the 3 fingers rather than all 4. It's a bad habit, and there's no reason that I have to do it. The reason that I bring it up, though, is that for you want to use all 4 fingers, and you want to get comfortable using them independently. So, one of the things I always make all of my students do, especially if they're beginners, is finger calisthenics. And how that's going to work is, let me turn the camera back toward this light again. But okay, how that's going to work is you're going to start at first fret. And what you're going to want to do is play first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret. You're going to leave all 4 fingers down. Leave all 4 fingers down. What that's going to do for you is it's going to stretch these tendons here so that you have a lot more flexibility. It hurts like a son of a gun when you start doing it. So if you've never done that before, that's going to be a new experience for you, and I hope you will continue wanting to take lessons from me after I've put you through that torture. Rule number 1, anything that I teach you to do, including the finger calisthenics, the finger calisthenics must be done the way that I just showed you, even though it hurts. But with the exception of that, anything that I teach you that's causing you pain, don't do that. If it hurts, it's not correct. Except for the finger calisthenics. But I'm telling you that in advance, because finger calisthenics are going to hurt. Especially when you get that 4th finger in there. That'll help a lot with your speed and your dexterity, but the main thing as far as right hand speed that goes is the more familiar you are with the fingerboard, the better. So that's where the circle of fifths comes in. So. playing for 40 years, and I even get confused doing that too, so don't feel bad if you lose it a little. And again, try to start at a comfortable tempo. Don't go too fast or too slow, and work your way down. You can do the traditional thing with your metronome. I always say work it down, but you really should be doing both. You try to do it a little faster than you did the day before. So if you started, say, at 88, your metronome marking was 88. I did the circle of fourths throughout the fifths, but that's beside the point. We won't go there. I'll explain to you what the difference is at the end of the video. But if you started at 88, while you're practicing, slow the metronome down. But then the next day, set your metronome at 96 and try the same thing. Now, slow the metronome down and work that through again. Doing the same thing, circle of fifths, all the intervals. Then, the next day, try 100. I don't have a metronome handy, so I don't know if those are the right speeds. I just know that's faster than the last time that I did it. And then do the same thing. We'll go up in smaller increments, and always, once you get to this faster increment, then slow the metronome down. So, within the exercise, you try to do it slowing the metronome down so that you maintain the note value, but on a day-to-day thing or every other day or something like that, start a little faster than you did before. All of those things should help. Now, I'm a huge slapper. I'm a Marcus Miller fanatic, Larry Graham, Lewis Johnson, any of those guys, and I'm a huge slap fanatic. If you don't particularly care for slap style playing, don't worry about that. I'm going to tag a little bit of slap on the end of this video just for purposes of discussion, but here's how you master slap. If it's of any interest at all, this is what you do. Basically, you start out playing disco bass lines. You apply the same concepts. You want to start and maintain your note values. So when you've gotten really comfortable with doing that, change the figure a little bit, like so that you do. So what I'm doing is my octave, then I do the low, and I do a hammer on from C to D. Oh, I'm in D, by the way. 5th fret. Now, I said this is going to be slap, right? And you're probably thinking to yourself, he's not slapping. Why would that work? Well, because stage 3 in the way to master slap is to take that and add the slap to it. Now, just going to do the same thing with your left hand. You're just doing your disco octaves. But now what you're going to do is you're going to strike the lower string. In my case, this is the 3rd string. If you have a 5-string bass, it's going to be 3rd. If you have a 4-string bass, it'll be 2nd string. Actually, 3rd string. I'm sorry. It's going to be 3rd string either way. What am I thinking? For purposes of our discussions, the strings, by the way, are numbered from highest to lowest. So this is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I probably should have put that at the beginning of the video, but whatever. Anyway, so you're going to hit your 3rd string with your thumb, like so. You want to kind of get it close to the fingerboard if you can. And what you want to do is you kind of want to strike through the string, not really hitting it. And the mistake most people make when they try to play a lot of slap stuff is that they think you have to hit the bass really hard. You don't. The physics of it are actually pretty lightweight. You stop the note by letting go of it. So your thumb needs to go through the string. You don't actually hit, you hit it, but you just go through it. And you want to be really careful not to hit any of the other strings in the process. Now the upper part of it, you're going to get with your second finger on your right hand under the string, and you're just going to pull. So how that's going to sound, like I said, you've already been doing your disco bass lines. So how that's going to sound when you change to the slap is this. Now we go back to what we added when we were doing fingerstyle. So we're going to add our hammer on. This is where it kind of gets complicated. So the next step after that is to add a fourth down. So in other words, when you do your hammer on, you can do the same hammer on the next string down. And you just work it in wherever you can fit it. There's no right or wrong to it. You can also add an extra slap on your open G string. Now, here's where you get into the fun stuff. You can do all kinds of different polyrhythms within that phrase. You don't have to stick with just that. You can add an extra one of those. You can add whatever you want into that once you master the touch of it. One of my favorite exercises to use that gives you the impression of having some serious speed, it's actually really easy, but it makes it sound like you're playing something that's really fast as far as that goes, is to do slapping a hammer on together. Open, G, C, D. But you do it all within one hammer on. And you can do it to the next string down as well. I'm not doing it very well there, but you can see how that's going to be kind of an effective trick as far as Les Claypool for Primus does that in one of their songs. Anyway, you get the idea. So I hope that gives you a couple of things you can work on. Remember, circle of fifths. Oh, I did say I was going to explain the difference between circle of fifths and circle of fourths. Basically, it's the same thing, but the difference is when you go up the scale, you're always going sharp. So the circle of fifths, you're adding a sharp each time you go up. So C is no sharps or flats. C is no sharps or flats. G is one sharp. D is two sharps. Now, if you go the other way, you start on C and you go up 4 notes, you're now on F. Now C has no flats. F has 1 flat. B flat has 2 flats. E flat has 3 flats, etc., etc. So basically the difference between circle of fourths and circle of fifths is, one, you're always adding a sharp each time you go around to the next scale. The other one, you're adding a flat each time you go to the next scale. So that's what the difference is. So when you saw me do that was actually the circle of fourths, not the circle of fifths. Let me see if I can do it with the circle of fifths, since that's what I said I was going to do, without getting lost. Hold on a minute. No. See it? Anyway, I hope you kind of get the idea, but how that affects your speed building is, like I said, it gets you more familiar with the fingerboard, and the better you know the fingerboard, the easier it is to maneuver around on it. We didn't talk very much about the right hand, but here's what I want you to do with that. As long as you don't play with a pick, this will be helpful. Sorry about the yawn. I don't have anything against playing with a pick. I don't do it very well, so I don't do it. However, my general concept, you see my comments on the board all the time, whatever's going to get the job done is the right way to play. Now, if you are able to comfortably play with a pick, more power to you. If you slap a lot, more power to you. If you play with your fingers, more power to you. There's not a right or wrong way to do this. There's the way that gets the job done, and that's what's important. Having said that, as far as your right hand goes, you can do things like this. This is what I do to increase speed. Once again, set in the metronome, and we don't worry about the left hand at all. We just set the metronome, and we try to do half notes. Then we move up to quarters. Eighth. Eighth and triplets. And then we slow down again, take a minute, and then we start again. Half notes. Quarters. Eighths. Triplets. I don't usually go past triplets, but if you're able to, if you're able to go into 16ths or 32nd notes, great. More power to you. The kind of playing that I do doesn't lend itself to that very often, so it's the reason that I don't practice it. But you can do it, and Again, what you want to do is you want to set the metronome really a little bit on the low end of the scale and move your way up a little bit at a time. So. Anyway, I hope that gives you some good ideas, and we'll continue working as we go. Have a good afternoon, Captain.